The topic that we will discuss it is on the concept of excess demand, okay, as well as its causes. Well, since this is something that relates to demand, so yes, if we talk about this word demand, it is something that relates to our desires, is something that relates to our wishes, okay. And yes, these desires can be considered as a demand until we have the capacity or as well as the willingness to pay. That means all those desires of ours, all those demand, I mean all those wishes can become our demand only if we have enough money to buy them. Okay, so yes, and if we take together your demand, my demand, if we take together the demand of all the consumers in a particular country, in a particular economy, such is referred to as the aggregate demand. Here, the concept of excess demand. What is the meaning of excess demand? Okay, here let's just talk about that word excess. Here, the word excess means something that is more than what it is required. Okay, when something that is more than it is needed. So, excess demand means yes, the excess of aggregate demand. It means when there is more than what it is required. Okay, that means when the aggregate demand is more or exceeds what is referred to than the aggregate supply. In simple words, what is excess demand? Excess demand, it is a situation when demand is more than it is more than what is required, okay, for the fuller utilization of resources, or it is a situation when demand, when aggregate demand is more than the aggregate supply. If we have this, that is a situation which is referred to as the excess demand, or if there is such a situation when demand is more, okay, there is obviously there are obviously be a reason or the factors that are responsible for this particular, so to say, particular problem, that is a problem of excess demand. Why demand is more, okay, or why there is this excess demand? Demand is more, mainly it is due to two main factors, or mainly due to two main reasons. One is due to the increase in the private consumption expenditure, okay? Increase in the private consumption expenditure. That means we're talking about the household expenditures, okay? Some the consumption that relates to the family, so on and so forth. Why the private consumption increases? Why why the demand from the household increases? It might be due to the increase in the propensity to consume, okay. It might be due to the increase in income, the tendency to consume more also increases, or it might also be due to a decrease in propensity to save, okay. Why there is an increase in private consumption, why there is an increase in demand, okay. One, it might be due to the increase in the propensity to consume. That means our tendency to consume more due to the increase in income, or it might be because there is a decrease, okay, in our propensity to save. That means we don't want to save more, okay. Whatever additional income we receive, we want to spend, okay, instead of saving, okay, we want to spend. That is one of the factor that is responsible for this excess demand. That means excess demand is caused is due to the increase in the private consumption. Why is this increase in the private consumption expenditure? It is due to the increase in the propensity to consume, or there is a decrease in the propensity to save. Another, besides the increase in private consumption, okay, another important factor that results to this increased demand or due to this excess demand is due to an increase in the investment expenditure. Another reason is due to the increase in the investment expenditures. Okay, and if we talk about the investment expenditures, we're talking about the producers. As we all know, like the aim, the motive of each and every producer, it is to maximize profits. Okay, and if we talk about this profit, okay, sometimes it is at a very high level, sometimes it's quite low, so on and so forth. Okay, and suppose, because it is a business, it doesn't mean that a producer, if in this particular period he is maximizing profit, in the next period he will also be maximizing profit. That is not the case. Okay, and another thing, like suppose if we talk about the producers who are producing the different goods and commodities, they always look at the what is going on in the market. Okay, if suppose if I'm that particular producer, okay, what I realize is that suppose say I do produce for example copies, okay, the exercise copies that are being used by the students. So let us suppose it is now, it is that period or that point of time in which school starts to reopen. Okay, that means educational institutions starts to be open, started to get open. So what I realize is that there will definitely be an increase in the demand for copies, exercise copies, etc., etc. So what I'll do was, if I want to maximize profits, okay, I need to produce more. That means I need to invest more. Okay, so if I can invest more, that means more will be my profit, because I knew that now it is the period, now it is a time in which all the schools, all the colleges starts to open. So I knew that if school starts open, there will be a huge demand for copies, this and that. Okay, so definitely what I'll do was, in order to gain more, in order to maximize my profits, I will produce more. That means, in order to do that, first thing I need to is that I need to spend, that means I need to invest more. So that also is another important factor that results to the that is responsible for that excess demand. So yes, this excess demand, in simple words, it simply means that a situation when demand is more than what is required. Okay, and it is due to two main factors, or due to two main reasons. One is due to the increase in the private consumption expenditure. That means we're talking about the household expenditure, okay, which might increase due to the increase in the propensity to consume, or which might increase due to the decrease in the propensity to save. And another factor is the increase in the investment expenditure. Further, besides those two important factors, okay, other important factors that are responsible for this excess demand is due to the increase in government expenditure. Again, if we talk about the government, be it the government at the central level or the government at the state level, it do really try its best to foster the rate of development in a country. So, in order to foster or in order to bring in growth and development in a particular country or in a particular state, there are so many things needed to be done. There are so many developmental projects needed to be carried out, okay, so as to promote the welfare of the particular state. So, in order to carry on all those different developmental projects, different developmental schemes, the government has to spend a lot. Another, it is due to the increase in exports. Okay, as we all know, like the government, for example, the government of India do have a trading relationship with different countries of the world. Okay, and having a trading relationship with the different countries of the world, it means that our country do exports that, and also our country do imports. And yes, if a country can export huge amount of goods, huge amount of commodities, definitely that particular country will gain a lot. That means it will earn a lot of foreign earnings. And yes, increase in exports, it might be also due to the lower domestic prices. It might be the prices in the home market is too low. Okay, so the producer, what they did was, instead of selling in the home market, they exported outside. And another, it is due to the decrease in imports. Why there is a decrease in imports? That means the government, there is a tendency on the government to buy less, to import less from outside. Why? It's due to the high prices or higher international prices that in the world market compared to our domestic prices. And further, another that is responsible for this excess demand, it is a cut in the tax rates. Okay, as we know that the government do impose a variety of taxes on its people with the hope of earning income in order to fund the various developmental works, in order to fund the various developmental projects. So whenever we talk about the tax or the tax rates, sometimes it's very very high, or sometimes it's very very low. Sometimes when the government is really in need of huge financial resources, it did increase the tax rates. And sometimes there is a situation in which the government realized that whatever it obtained is enough, so there is a reduction in the tax rate. And this reduction in the tax rate, this will definitely increase my disposable income. That means, for example, if I am that taxpayer, if I am that one of the person who used to pay tax to the government, what the government did was the government reduced my tax rate. That means, for example, initially I used to pay 100 rupees as my tax rate. Now, from 100 rupees, I pay only 50 rupees. So, with that, it will increase the money or the disposable income or the amount of money in my pockets. So, that definitely will result to my increase in demand. So, all these factors, besides the earlier two, the increase in consumption expenditure, the increase in investment expenditure, further, the increase in government expenditure, the increase in exports, the decrease in imports, and also a cut in the tax rates, all this, they are responsible for what is referred to as the excess demand.